Erev Tov Ratai. I want to tell you here something interesting, right? The end of Pirkeh Avot, I'm going to read you what it says over here in the end. Because in the beginning, right, what does it say? The first thing Pirkeh Avot says, Moshe Kibel Torah Sinai. Right, that's the first thing, We spoke about that already. We got the Torah from Har Sinai, Moshe Rabbeinu received it. You have to know that. What does it say in the end? What's the tachlis, the bottom line, right, of all this work? So it says like this, listen to this, right? Kol ma shebara kadosh baruch hu be'olamo lo bera'o ela lichvodo. You see this? You know what this means? No. Whatever Hashem created in this world, only for His kavod He did it. That's it. Only for His kavod of Hashem. That's it. That's the whole thing. Now, there's a couple of questions, right, you have to ask when you hear this, right? It's a little bit shaky, It doesn't sound so good, this thing.
What are we doing here?
What's going on, right? What does that mean? First of all, number one, right, kavod is not a good thing, right? The Torah, Pirkei Avot tells us, right? Stay away from kavod. It takes you out from the world, So kavod is not a good thing. So why does Hashem want kavod?
You gotta have kavod to get over there.
Why does He want kavod? It's not a good midah. You understand? What does He want this for?
What was zuchud you're talking about?
Huh? Kavod.
Is it different between kavod and zuchud?
Honor. Kavod is honor,
Is zuchud different, right?
Zuchut means merit, right? That's how you translate it into English. He created it for His kavod. Kavod is no good. It's not a good midah. And also you have to ask the question, right? Basic question: why does HaKadosh Baruch Hu want kavod? For what? What does He want this for? Why is He interested in this? So you have to go a little bit deep. This is like a philosophical depth over here going on. A little bit here. What's going on here? In order to understand this Pirkei Avot, you have to go a little bit into the world of Kabbalah, a little bit, to understand. Why? Because the Mekubalim, they say something incredible, about... The truth is, it's not the Mekubalim, it's the Rambam who says this. If you look at the Rambam, right in the beginning, he talks about HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the nature of Hashem. So, one of the things he says is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is totally good. There's nothing bad in Him. Everything is good with Him. Doesn't have any bad character traits, or bad, bad midot. Doesn't have nothing like that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Everything about Him is good. In other words, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in essence, is good, His essence is good. There's nothing bad about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So, why is it that HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us, stay away from kavod? Kavod is no good. Because you're not Him, you're not Hashem, right? You have Yetzer Hara. So for you, kavod is no good, Why? Because the kavod makes you spoiled, It makes you do bad things, It gives you a bad influence, the kavod. Makes you arrogant,
Teach that you're better than other people.
Right, exactly, yeah. The whole thing, right? A lot of things about that, but but Hashem, you see, that's the thing. The kavod of Hashem is actually a very good thing. Why? Because He's perfect. So there's nothing bad there going on. So when you give kavod Hashem, what are you giving kavod to? The goodness. That's what it is. Because He's totally good. There's nothing bad about Hashem. So that's why kavod of Hashem is a good thing. Because when you go after the kavod of Hashem, you're going, in essence, right after the goodness. That's all you have. You have nothing else. So kavod of Hashem is a very, very good thing. So now, let's go a little bit into the Agadah, right? It talks about this in the Agadah a little bit. You know what it says there? Interesting thing, which is that, okay, we see here, right, that Kadosh Baruch Hu created the world because of His kavod. How does He get kavod from the world? What's the kavod that He gets? How does He get that kavod? So you know what it says in the Midrash, right? It says, the kavod of Hashem, you know what it is? That He shows, to the malachim, He shows, to the creations, look at my children over there, on earth, they're doing my will. They're fulfilling the Torah. That is kavod for Hashem. You understand? This is kavod for Him. Why? Because He's proud, right? That what? That, there's a Yetzer Hara. We could be doing bad things, and we're overcoming the Yetzer Hara and doing good For us, so Hashem says, this is my kavod, look at them, I gave them Yetzer Hara. It's very hard for them, to keep the Torah. It's very difficult. But they keep it anyway, So that's his kavod, Hashem says, look at this, You see? They're doing it for me. They're keeping the Torah, They're keeping the mitzvot for me to give me kavod.
It's not a pride, it's kavod.
Yeah, kavod is pride. That's what it is, It's pretty much honor, right? Honor and pride. That's what it is. So, but it's a good thing, Hashem takes pride that we do His will, We do His will. Because why? Because He knows, right, that that's the good way to be. There's no other good way. There's also another question, what comes up when it comes to this. You know what they say, right? The Chazal ask a good question, Masachet Chulin. There's laws of shchita, right? When you slaughter an animal, to eat meat, you have to slaughter. It's not a pretty sight, You go to the mashcheta, you see over there what they're doing there. It's not a pretty thing, There's blood all over the place, It's disgusting, It smells bad. It's terrible, It's a terrible thing, But one of the things, that you have to know when you do shchita is that a hair's breadth, of how much you shecht, how much you slaughter, the vridim, the veins, those pipes that you slaughter them. If you do a little bit too little, it's trefa, 1 millimeter more and it's kosher. 1 millimeter less, it's trefa, taref. So the Gemara asks over there a question about this, It's a very simple question. What does HaKadosh Baruch Hu, care about this, What does He care if we're doing 1 millimeter more or 1 millimeter less? What does He care about this? Who cares? What does it matter, It's a good question. Why is He so medakdek? Why is He so strict with us, about these rules? Everything has its own rules. If you cut too high, it's no good. If you cut too low, no good. It has to be in the right place, the right depth. You have to cut both of the, pipes, the windpipe, the food pipe, right? You have to do all these things. If you don't do, trefa, throw it in the garbage, right? That's it. That's what you do with this, Give it to the dogs, right? Exactly. Give it to the kilavim. So, what does Hashem care about this? So you know what it says over there, right? What does He really care about? He doesn't really care about the physical properties, 1 millimeter more, 1 millimeter less. He doesn't care about that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So what does He care about? That He told you what to do and you did it. That's what it is. Again, right? You see the same thing. It's kavod. You know what I mean? You're giving kavod to HaKadosh Baruch Hu because you're following His instructions. That's what it's all about, So that's what Hashem really wants, Just follow my rules. Whatever I tell you, don't stray to the right or to the left. Go straight in my ways. That's what gives me kavod. That's my kavod. I'm proud. I'm proud when I see my children, keeping my Torah. It gives me pride. That's what I want. On the other hand, right, when they don't keep the Torah, what does He do, right? He gets, Hashem says, hey, what's going on over here? You know what I mean? They're not keeping the Torah. So what does Hashem do, Listen to this, right? The Mekubalim, they talk about this in the Zohar. What does Hashem do when people don't do His will? Especially the Jewish people, when they don't keep the will of Hashem. You know what He does, right? Do you think He punishes people? Does He? Does He? What do you say? He doesn't. That's what the Mekubalim say, What does that mean? He doesn't directly Himself punish anybody. You know why that is? You know why? Because He's totally good. He doesn't have the capacity to punish anybody. It's not His nature. You understand? He's totally good. There's nothing bad that can come out of Hashem. Nothing. Punishment is bad. You know what I mean? It's terrible. You're suffering. Hashem cannot do this. He cannot do bad. So what does He do? What does He do? He doesn't actually, Himself punish nobody. What He does is He just removes Himself, from the world. He takes a step back. Step back, and then, He created those bad angels, the mazikin, the shadim, right? Malachei Chabala, all these bad things, bad creations. They're the ones who come and punish, people. They're the ones. Hashem doesn't do it Himself. You know why? Because that's not His nature. He cannot punish nobody.
Haftarah doesn't say like that.
Huh?
Haftarah doesn't say like
What does that mean?
Eliyahu went to say to Hashem that he's tired of doing everything, that nobody is following waves of Hashem. What Hashem told him, okay, I'm go give honor some Elisha, and then say some king on north, and then
Right.
south. They're gonna
So he brings these Reshaim, to bring the punishment to the world. That's exactly the point. That's what I'm saying.
That's the point.
That's it. Yeah. He doesn't do it himself. He has agents, shlichim.
Using somebody else.
He has shluchim, exactly. He sends somebody else. He doesn't do it by himself because that's not his nature, Hakadosh Baruch Hu is not a nasty God. He's very good.
What about 10 punishments in Egypt?
So over there, there was an exception. Hashem says, I want to do it myself, That was the exception. But in general, right, doesn't do. He doesn't do nothing like that.
Firstborn died from his hand.
So here's the thing, right? Yeah, you're right. It's true. That was the exception. But here's the interesting thing. There's a lot of interesting things about this. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself doesn't want to punish nobody, right? He doesn't want to do nothing like that. All he does is just remove himself, from the scene, and whatever happens. He doesn't punish nobody, But the whole thing, why does he do this? Because he wants to come back to do teshuvah, Because again, right, he's looking for his kavod. But his kavod is a good thing. You know why? Because he's perfect. So he wants you to go after his kavod. You know what it says, right, in the Gemara Brachot about this? So, we have Taryag mitzvot, 613 mitzvot, right, in the Torah. We have, right? But you know what it says in the Gemara, right? It says, right, that those mitzvot are going to be bottled. They're going to be nullified in the end. Going to be bottled. The whole Torah is going to be bottled. Everything's going to be bottled. What? But I thought, we were going to do, korbanot, and do mitzvot and all these things, have a good time. In the end, right, that's in times of Mashiach, yes. But in time of Olam Haba, everything is going to be bottled. All the mitzvot. Why is that? Because over there, HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't need that anymore, He doesn't need that. The whole point was here, to give him kavod with the mitzvot, to earn the reward over there, But once you're over there, there's nothing to earn anymore, So the Torah doesn't have any place anymore in the world, the mitzvot, nothing. So what kind of Torah are we going to learn over there? We're not going to do like, Isur v'heter, Shulchan Aruch, Rambam, this kind of. We're not going to learn that over there. It's finished. We're finished with that. We're done. So what are we going to learn over there? We're going to learn the secrets, of the Torah. The more esoteric parts, more spiritual things in the Torah. Like the Malachim, they learn like that. The Malachim up in Shemaim, that's what they learn. Because it's not shaykh to them, it's not relevant to them to learn about, how to do shchita, nobody's doing shchita over there.
Can I ask a question? Can I? There is a lot of places in the Gemara that it says there is machloket between Hashem to the Malachim. So they're learning something that it's related to us. So what I'm saying, it's not, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. I understand you, I got you. But it all fits in, this whole thing. Let me try to help you a little bit with this, What happens is like this, that they, in Shemaim, they're learning about what's going on here, That's not their Torah. But they're watching us, They're watching us over here. So sometimes they speak about the Torah over here, what it is. But who really decides the halakha? Not them. Us, right? The rabbis. The rabbis decide the halakha, So they're not really involved with that directly, It's just more, something on the side. Mashut tzaddik is there. It's not really the main thing over there. The main thing over there, they're learning the secrets of the Torah, Much higher level of Torah. So that's what Adam Arishon was supposed to do also, when Hashem created him. He wasn't supposed to do Shulchan Aruch and Isur v'heter. The only reason why we needed these things is because he sinned, and then the world fell down. But once we get back up there again, to where Adam Arishon was, that's it. We're not going to need that anymore. So it's going to be nullified, So this kavod that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is looking for over here, it's only in this olam hazeh. That's it. Once we get over there, we're done with that. We're finished. Over there, it's a different kind of a system altogether. That's.
So if our mitzvot has nothing to do with what's going on over there, what are we doing over here?
That's a good question. So the answer is, that we're earning our olam haba, by earning.
Not
Understand?
mean whatever price you get here, it's nullified over there.
We are greater, we are greater than the malachim. You know why? Because the malachim don't have Yetzer Hara. We have Yetzer Hara. They don't have. So they just, like a robot, they function. You know what I mean? Programmed. We have Yetzer Hara, over here. So Hashem tells the malachim, listen, you see them over there, they're bigger than you are. Why? Because they have Yetzer Hara and they overpower the Yetzer Hara. That's what they do over there, They're better than the malachim. The thing is, eventually, right, that's what's going to be. Eventually, we're going to be in Olam Haba, and over there, it's not going to be anymore what we're doing here. Doing the mitzvot and all these things. That's it, we're finished with that.
No.
It's a different stage, it's a different stage in creation.
Rabbi, the Torah that was given to us, specifically for this place, or it's general for everywhere?
So you know what it is, right? There's the outside of the Torah, there's the inside. The outside is for us. The Sefer Torah, the leather, the parchment, the ktiva. But there's the inside of the Torah, that's already higher level, inner Torah. Pnimiut of the Torah, right? The inside is a much higher level than the outside. So it's not the same thing, That's what they're doing over there. They're doing the inside. We're here doing the outside. Why? Because we live in the physical world. That's what it is. So we have a different kind of a system over here. Once we finish with this, that's it. We're going to be done, right? So Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to, Bezat Hashem, right? He gets kavod from this, that we do His will over here, That's he takes pride in it. That's what it is, Okay, we'll finish here, Bezat Hashem. Baruch Adonai Le'olam, Amen v'Amen. Rabbi Chaim Kashomer, עשה הקדוש ברוך הוא לעשות ישראל, ולפיך הכי בא להם תורה ומצווה, שנאמר זמני חופץ, למען צדקו יגדיל תורה וידיר.